I heard recently about a store in Lincoln, New Hampshire that sells maps. You know, maps, those foldy paper things that open up and show you where you think you are and how to get where you want to be. Well, I love maps, and I thought to myself, I got to meet the guy behind this place. And I think you're going to enjoy meeting him too. Welcome to Windows to the Wild. I'm Willem Lang in Lincoln, New Hampshire, right outside a store called the Mountain Wanderer. Now, if that name didn't stop me, nothing could. Inside are books and maps of all sorts, where to hike, how to fish, and just about anything to do with the outdoors. We'll go in and meet the guy who runs the place, and then we'll head out and do a little mountain wandering of our own. We're now inside the Mountain Wanderer, and I'm talking to Steve Smith.
Pleasure to see
You're
you.
the owner of this place.
Yes, thanks for coming.
My sympathies. It's beautiful. You got all these books. I could spend the rest of my life reading them.
We pack a lot into our little space.
You do, yeah, beautiful. Now, today we're going to hike one of the Waterville Valley trails, right?
Correct. We're going to hike the Cascade Path.
Meantime, you got here a guidebook. This apparently the trail system here is the oldest in the United States.
Correct. It's from the 1850s. It was created by innkeeper Nathaniel Greeley, who opened an inn in the valley, and people first came to his inn for fishing.
Yeah.
But then he realized the value of having outdoor recreation as an attraction for his inn, and so he built a whole trail network. There are older individual trails, such as the Crawford Path.
Yeah.
But this is the first trail network in the U.S.
And this is a guidebook from 1904.
1904.
Show it with a guidebook to the trails.
It was written by Arthur L. Goodrich, who was a summer resident. And he did 3 editions, 1892, 1904, and 1916.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, this is
they still spell Boulder, B-O-W-L.
Yeah. Traditional
and this
spell.
is the map that goes with that guidebook.
And here's where we're going to go, is the Cascades.
Yep.
And that was one of the original trails from the 1850s. It's still a popular hike.
Yeah, as it goes to a waterfall.
Yeah, there's about 7 waterfalls along the brook. And there are a number of trails on here that don't exist anymore that came and went back in the early 1900s.
I see this map is from 1915.
Yep.
They're spelling Boulder B-O-U-L.
Yes, they changed it,
They brought it up
updated it.
By the time you and I are died, it'll drop the U.
Right.
B-O-L-D-R. Okay. Now, this is the map we're using today.
Yes, this is the current trail map for Waterville Valley, published by the WVAIA, which is the Waterville Valley Athletic and Improvement Association. And we're going to meet the president of that club later on, Dan Newton.
Okay.
So we're going to start at the Snows Mountain parking lot, right next to the Waterville Academy, which is where Dan teaches English. And then we're going to climb a little bit up to this height of land here. It'll level out. Then we'll descend a bit down to Cascade Brook. And then we'll head up right along the waterfalls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Beautiful.
And at the top, Dan will meet us. He'll come down to meet us where we happen to be when he gets out there.
It's kind of like a ski lift in reverse.
Yep.
But
and then you'll get a ride out.
I love it.
How can you beat that?
I love it. Downhill's never been my favorite.
Yeah.
But okay, I suppose the best way to do it is to get going, right?
I think so. Yeah, we've got to meet some folks down in Waterville. So, all right.
Vámonos. Here we go. While we make our way into Waterville Valley, let me show you where we'll hike. From the parking lot at Snows Mountain Ski Area, the trek is about, a mile and a half along a series of falls and pools. Then we'll reverse course and see it all again. We're at the beginning of the Cascade Path. As you can see, we're going to take a hike up to the Cascades, and I'm surrounded here by a militia of experts on local lore, the Waterville Valley Trails Association, and so on, and they'll fill us in on more details as we hike up the trail. So the only way to get there, as I can think of, is to start, right? Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's go. You may have noticed a few people have left the group. We're taking a slightly different route to the First Falls. By different, I mean easier. But we'll send you along with Steve, Brenda, and Preston. If you set out on the Cascade Path, don't be confused by what's around you. There's a small neighborhood and an old ski trail that you pass by. They're part of Waterville Valley. But pretty soon you're in the woods, heading to the Cascades.
Into the woods. Here's Elephant Rock Trail. Take a short diversion up here to see Elephant Rock. It's just one of the many natural features in the valley that people, early hikers gave names to. Apparently, it really resembled an elephant when the tree was on the face of it. There are a whole bunch of places like this, like the Davis Boulders and Goodrich Rock and the Greeley Ledges, the Scour, all local names. And the trails reach all of them.
The hike to the First Falls is fairly flat and easy. It's a nice walk through old hardwood forest. Well, I've rendezvoused right here with the rest of the crew. We have about 3/10 of a mile of climbing up to the Cascades, so we're going to do that. And we'll talk along the way as we go. Brooke Wakefield is one of my hiking buddies today. Whenever she can, she gets out into the woods. Brooke's an ambassador for Waterville Valley's outdoors. Now, Brooke, I see you work for a local radio station, WVRD, is that right?
Right, yes, the Waterville Valley Recreation Department.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
And what do you do there?
I'm the director, the recreation director for the town of Waterville Valley. And we do a lot of different things. We do summer camps for kids. We do adult programming like Tai Chi, indoor cycling. And then recently we've been trying to really boost our hiking initiative for the valley since there's so many hikes and trails here. But it's really a year-round thing. We serve a lot of the tourism that comes here. We're not like your average, municipal recreation department because we're also serving tourists.
Well, we like the weather you bring with you.
I'd take about a year of this. This is nice.
It's great.
Lovely. I've been hearing about this red line patch, which I'm never going to get.
Yep. Never? No?
Well,
now we do count historical hikes.
At my pace, I would be 125 before I covered 125 miles up here. No, but it's a patch you give out for what?
Yeah, so it's called the Waterville Valley Redliner 125. So the 125 is for 125 miles in the valley. And if you accomplish all those miles, then you receive this patch. So all you have to do is log your miles and turn it in with $10, and you get a patch saying that you did that. Are you familiar with redlining?
Yeah.
So a lot of people aren't. They have some questions about what that means, but basically it's to cover all the trails up. So we're really trying to promote hiking more than just the beaten down path. It's to try to accomplish all the different trails and spread the love,
You
among
don't have to do it in 1 year, do you?
No.
Okay.
You can do it at your own pace, and actually we're honoring historical hikes. So if you have a history of hikes and you only have maybe a few left to do, we'll actually allow that as well.
That's nice.
So as long as you can log it for us. You can start chalking up your historical hikes.
Is it okay if I don't? It'll be fun. Kiki can help me back. We'll do one.
Oh yeah, Kiki could
We're getting one today, right?
Yeah, we are.
At least a piece of one.
Absolutely.
All right, I might do that. Who knows? Through the trees, I begin to hear it. The sound of what we came looking for. Woohoo! Look at this. I'm talking here beside the third cascade with Dan Newton, who is an English teacher, a guide for trips on the trails around here, a trail maintainer, and the president of the Waterville Valley
Athletic and Improvement Association, formed in 1888.
You've been president since 1888?
Yeah, right. No, it was formed in, I've been president for, I don't know, 10 years or so.
Great. What do you do? I mean, what's your function?
Well, the mission of it is to take care, to maintain the trails.
Yeah.
You know, trails don't just stay in good shape.
That's
Erosion is a big issue. And so we have to work on that, as well as the blowdowns, the trees that fall across it, we cut them off, and then cutting the brush back.
Yeah.
And that's the general maintenance. And then there are special projects that we do, like the stone stairs and steps that you see.
Didn't we just come up and set them?
Yes.
They were huge.
Yes. And those are really designed to prevent erosion more than to make it easy, although it does make it easier.
Yeah. And you have 125 miles of trail, right?
Yep.
And you've walked every one of them.
Many, many times. Yeah.
You get a little sticker.
You know, I haven't, but I certainly have earned it.
You have, yeah.
We've had a red line hike this year. You know, redlining is when you do all the trails. And so I've been hiking trails that I've been on for years, and then other trails that I haven't been on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been really nice.
You're going to be a redliner then this year.
Yeah, so I should earn my patch soon.
Okay back there? This trail up the Cascades is beautiful.
Isn't it spectacular?
It's great, yeah.
It's really unique to be so pristine still.
Yeah.
You know, some of the other locations in the White Mountains are much more touristy.
Yeah.
And this is really as it always has been.
You know, Steve, on a hot day, this would be a great trail, eh?
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah.
Now, where does this water come off what mountain?
It comes out of a place called Lost Pass, which is up between Mount Tri-Pyramid, Snows Mountain, and Flat Mountain. A very remote area.
Huh.
It comes down several miles from up there. It starts in a couple of beaver ponds.
Yeah, I was going to say, mostly beaver ponds.
Yeah, yep.
Beautiful. Steve's writing a guidebook to Waterville. He tells me it was Nathaniel Goodrich who applied the name Lost Pass to the area. Goodrich was born in Concord, New Hampshire in 1880. He spent his summers in Waterville and fell in love with skiing, mountaineering, and hiking. Around 1905, Goodrich cleared a hiking trail through the pass. Over time, however, the trail was abandoned. Trees grew back, and as the name suggests, the pass was lost.
One of the beauties of these trails is that they're relatively untraveled. You know, other than the trails going up the 4,000 footers, like Osceola or Tri-Pyramid. No, Waterville is a gem.
Well, here we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once we reach the falls, the trail begins to climb, but it's manageable. Got my poles a little too long for climbing, but they'll be okay on the way down. We pass right along the Cascades with a bird's eye view. It's a great chance to find a log, sit back, and just watch. There are 7 falls along the path.
I love your show, and not to be corny, but you are an inspiration to many people.
Well, yes, aging people, if that old guy can do it, which I can't anymore.
Oh, you can still do it. If you can get up this trail, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I thought so.
With all the slippery roots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We take a break from the Cascade Path and follow Brenda and Preston down the road a bit to a place where history was made and still lives.
This area was so isolated that it was settled quite late. The other towns around here were settled in the 1760s. Waterville was state wilderness until about 1819. The first settlers, about a dozen of them eventually, were farmers, but farming is tough, as you can imagine. And over time, fishermen started to come because the areas surrounding this had all been badly overfished. And one of the farmers, who was quite an entrepreneur, Nathaniel Greeley, started hosting them in his house. He actually built a larger house down on the valley floor compared to his first cabin. And the first visitors were fishermen.
That entrepreneurial spirit continued. On July 1st, 1860, Nathaniel Greeley and his sons opened a small hotel in Waterville. They wanted to attract more tourists to the area. Around the time they greeted their first hotel guests, they cleared the first hiking trail through the pass.
And Greeley developed the hiking trails, and what was unusual was he connected them into a network. But by connecting them, he created something that others hadn't before the Civil War.
The two Nathaniels, Greeley and Goodrich, are the creators of the two trails that eventually became known as the Lost Pass. Before we lose too much daylight, Brenda and Preston push on. We head uphill to what remains of an early Waterville homestead along the old Waterville Road. Well, this is something that somebody who doesn't want to hike all day or ski all day can come and see, right?
They can. They're not advertised, but this one is just off the section of old road that's been abandoned since 1900. And we periodically notify people in town that we will lead a hike and show them the cellar holes. This one is one of the better ones. The man who lived here with his family was Samuel Dolliff. He was a farmer. He was here from the 1850s to the 1890s. Beginning in the late 1850s, he was a selectman for Waterville for almost 25 years. He had a family of 6 children, 5 sons and a daughter. And during the Civil War, 4 of the sons, ages 20 to 29, fought in the war, and they all survived.
Oh,
which is pretty remarkable.
That was a surprise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In 1870, Dolliff's 100-acre farm was worth $800. That's equivalent to about $15,000 today. Still a pretty good deal.
What's interesting about this one is we can walk around a little and you can see a few apple trees in the forest, so remains or descendants of his orchard. And I guess the first thing to tell people is we're in the National Forest. Anything that they see around the cellar hole, some worthless piece of metal, is actually an artifact, and they're not supposed to disturb it. And in fact, I read that it's illegal to take anything that's over 100 years old from the National Forest. And
how do they know?
Good question. If it's important enough, they'll find out.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, if it's important enough, archaeologically out west, they put people in prison.
It's like the rookie ball player who complained to the old ump, that wasn't a strike. He said, yes, it was, son. And the next one's going to be too.
So the most successful farms here lasted 2 generations. They started in the 1820s and 30s, many of them. And they were essentially gone by 1900, a little bit before then, actually.
Farther up the path, in a small clearing, are the remains of Waterville history and some of its early settlers.
So they would be, as you'd imagine, local people. You can tell looking around that there were quite a few burials, but there are only 4 legible stones. We have the information from the stones. The 2 earliest burials were 1803 and 1832, and they're both very young sons of a family named Burbank. The Burbanks settled in Thornton in 1769, and it's a big family even today. The first death, 1803, is well before this was a cemetery. This was wild land until 1819, belonging to the state. Then it was private land until 1831. So with the burial here for a death in 1803, that means that the grave was moved. And since that name and the next one in the 1830s is Burbank, may have been the family just decided to establish this as a cemetery then and moved an earlier death when the second one occurred.
If you come to Waterville for the hiking, skiing, or any other outdoor fun, Preston urges that you take the time to witness its history.
Well, I think it's just a sense of, what the local history is. People walk through the woods, come up to ski, don't have any idea about what the local history is. And there were families who worked incredibly hard to have lives here long before skiing had anything to do with this area of New Hampshire. And I think that's interesting. Waterville is interesting because it was settled so late. With all the surrounding towns developed, they would have been farming communities. I can imagine that this land grant would have been popular until you got out here and saw what it actually was.
Well, we've hiked all the way up Cascade Brook, right? We were at the top.
We are at the top.
Fantastic trail. What a beauty. That's a #1 trail. And it's time to thank everybody for your help. God, I can't thank you all enough. Brooke, Steve, Dan. Uh-oh. Brenda, that's right. Preston, can't forget them. Thank you all. You've just been fantastic. If I had Tootsie Rolls, I'd hand them out.
Thank
but
you.
I don't.
Thank you, Ellen.
And we're at that time once again that I like least. Time to say goodbye, and so I shall. Bye-bye. I'm Willem Lang, and I hope to see you again on Windows to the Wild. Support for the production of Windows to the Wild is provided by the Alice J. Reen Charitable Trust, the Fuller Foundation, the Gilbert Verney Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.